Hey, it's Bull, Boom, Bear, Bust. My name is JJ. A lot of big news to get into today. Bank stocks are selling off. People are starting to panic. The banks are starting to panic. Today, several stocks, they had to freeze trading because the sell-offs were so intense. Now, all of you here, you knew this was coming, so no surprise to you or me, but take a look at what's been happening here. PacWest, that's Pacific West Bank, stocks plunged today, and this was a report that we had put out. We get the exact date for you here. We did a report specifically about that bank, actually. That was like the lead story in that report. You go back here, Pacific West Bank. This goes all the way back to March. So people were still, of course, a lot of people still holding the stock of this bank. But why would you be holding a stock of a regional or local bank right now with everything that's going on? I mean, maybe you could just hold it and then hopefully someday they'll come back. But some of these banks may not come back, and you might be holding it to absolute zero, no value. March 26th, we warned about this March 26th. In fact, the thumbnail for that video talks about Pacific Western Bank. At one point, when I checked, the stock was down about 40%. Another bank, Western Alliance, their shares were down about 60%. There's some other pretty big sell-offs today. Zion's down 12%. Some of these may have recovered a little bit since I looked at them. But here were some of the lows of the day. Comerica down 11%. KeyCorp and National Valley Bank both down 7%, and the other one 4%. So folks, no surprise to any one of us here. We know that all the banks are insolvent, and people are starting to panic. People are starting to look more towards sound money. A friend of mine that has a gold shop, sells gold coins. I should say a coin shop, not just gold. He's been selling a lot of gold to people that want to protect themselves, for people that want to have a hedge against, not just a hedge against inflation, but also something to barter with in case the banks go down. That's how some of his customers are putting it, as far as the reason why they want to buy so many precious metals. And the big ones that are selling right now are the small grams of gold, because with gold at about 2,000, so you get those for about 70, 80 bucks, I think. Depends on what their markup is. 1 ounce silver coins, still very good to barter with, in my opinion. In case the system goes down, you want to have something of value to be able to get something else of value that you need. Maybe it's food, maybe it's gas. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that a lot of people are starting to kind of prepare for that. They're prepping for it. And my friend at the gold coin shop says he's been seeing a big increase in this. And I have to come back to this and remind people, you might want to think about allocating rather some of your wealth into hard assets. A lot of people say, JJ, I don't have extra money. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. If you have a retirement account, you can do that. Let's take a listen to our sponsor here, and we'll come back on the other side. A lot of important news with job losses, layoffs. We're going to come back on the other side. Take a listen. There's no denying it. Gold is hot right now. Prices are soaring, and experts are predicting even more to come. Not so long ago, gold reached its all-time high of $2,069 per ounce, and now it's inching even closer to that number again. Bank of America, one of the largest banks in the world, is saying that gold will rise further still to over $2,200 an ounce later this year. So what, right? Well, gold is already a safety net for your hard-earned money, and now when the stock market is all over the place and the value of the dollar is uncertain, being safe counts like never before. Noble Gold is offering a free 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin for any qualified IRA or 401k rollover. Terms apply. A solid silver U.S. Mint issued coin celebrating our national parks, free with every qualifying precious metals 401k or IRA rollover. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold investments. Call 877-646-5347 or go to bullboomgold.com. That's bullboomgold.com. Link down in the description of this video. All right, so there was a headline out here today. Plummeting bank stocks test predictions that the worst of the crisis is over. I told you that people saying that the worst of the crisis is over, those people are purposely misleading you, or they're just crazy, or they're just, I don't know, what would you call them? What would be the word? But how can the worst of the crisis be over when all the banks are engaged in similar lending activities, right? This is all money created digitally, money that they don't have, that they're loaning out. They hope you don't come back into the bank at the same time. Enough people at the same time means the bank is going to have basically no funds. All these banks are leveraged, even the mega banks. Now we see the shift into the mega banks for the perceived safety. Now, why is there perceived safety? Well, the banks are bigger, one, but two, they've been promised endless life support. That's a big one. Also, what Janet Yellen said, that these smaller and regional banks may not be backed. So why would anyone keep their money in a smaller or regional bank? I actually have some money in a smaller bank, but I don't keep as much. I don't keep more than necessary, more than just to pay bills, plus a little extra cushion, but I try not to, right? Now, one of the biggest concerns is, JJ, gold and silver, you can't eat it. You can't eat it. Well, what else are you going to put your money into that's going to be safe besides a bank? I mean, you think cash is safer? Maybe. I mean, if everything closes down, if the banks crash, like I think it's going to happen, I think we're going to wake up one day, the banks are going to be closed. There's going to be probably a week or more of everything just being down, everything being dark, everything being black. People won't be able to get their money. If you think the best thing to barter with or to go out and buy food with is going to be paper dollar bills, then stack dollar bills. All I'm saying is, with everything going on right now, you need to have at least something, in my opinion. I'm not giving advice. You need to think about at least having something in real, hard, tangible assets. And, that's where real money, what I call real money, that's been used as money, as investing, as a source of trading for thousands of years. So that's why, I try to come back to sound money, what's called real money, as often as possible on this channel. Another piece of bad financial news came out today. Jobless claims come in higher than expected. 242,000. Multiply that by 4, roughly 4 weeks in a month. A little more than 4 weeks, but 242,000, we're talking about almost 1 million jobs lost every month. But yet they're still telling us that the unemployment number is near 50-year lows. I mean, come on, do you actually believe these numbers that are coming out? I mean, if you believe the unemployment number, how can you believe these new jobless numbers? And if you believe the new jobless numbers, how can you believe the unemployment, right? And I think, again, most of us here can see through this, but let's kind of go through the timeline here of what we were told as far as inflation, the quantitative easing, the bank support, the liquidity injections. Let's go back a couple years here, actually. QE won't cause inflation. That was kind of the narrative that we talked about, that the talking heads were giving us here anyways. Then a few months later, some inflation, but it's transitory, right? Temporary, transitory. Okay, high inflation, but we are peaking. Remember that? It was that last fall. Inflation's peaking. Okay, inflation maybe not transitory, but the job market and wage growth is very strong. So then they try to divert your attention elsewhere. Okay, don't look over here. Let's talk about this instead. And it's not a recession because look at the jobs numbers. Remember, they changed the definition. Then it went into, we need to hike aggressively to curb inflation, but no worries. The economy is very strong and a soft landing is likely. Soft landing. Negative growth in Q1, but no recession risk. Okay, recession coming. Remember, they admitted recession, a couple weeks ago. But you will not lose your home. Well, that's yet to be seen. I'm going over this, what somebody posted here on social media. Kind of a good timeline, but I have to kind of pause at the you'll lose your home thing. That might be coming, but it depends on how they react to this. Okay, you may lose your home, but you won't starve to death. Okay, now they're kind of getting into the comical side of it here. You may die, but you'll go to heaven. That's the end of it here. Pretty funny post. Anyways, yeah, I think it's going to play out exactly like those last 3 timeline entries there. I hope not. Hope we're not talking about Armageddon here, but definitely be prepared. The news that I'm seeing leads to all signs downward for the U.S. economy. Now back to preparing for this situation and being ready for it. One of the things that I still do is I buy canned goods. I found sardines. I was going to say tuna. Sorry, I've got a lot of tuna fish because it's canned. It can last a long time. Sardines. I bought some sardines. 2 for $1.25. 2 for $1.25. Not the healthiest, but not the worst either. I've seen worse. I try to look at the salt content and if there's a bunch of additives and preservatives. So these are pretty good. 2 for $1.25. I loaded up on those. And every once in a while, someone will come in the office here where I'm at, which is my garage, and they'll smell the sardines. Dad, why are you eating sardines out here? Dinner's not till 6 o'clock. Well, as they get older and start to expire, I have to start eating them. I don't want to let them go to waste. And the family, yeah, my family, not a big fan of sardines. So a lot of times it's just lonely me eating the sardines, and you can smell them. They smell up the whole garage when I eat them. But anyways, it's a cheap way to prepare. And if they start to get close to the expiration date, at least make sure you like them. Make sure you don't hate them. Even if you do hate them, though, it's survival. I mean, you could survive off, but you don't want to be eating survival food if you don't have to. But once it gets close to expiration, I start eating it. But then I've heard that a lot of foods, especially canned foods, is good even way past the expiration date. That they have to be extra cautious on the expiration dates to prevent people complaining about it if the food goes bad before that. All right, let's transition a little bit here. Out of Gallup, you've heard of the Gallup polls, right? About half of U.S. citizens worry that their money is not safe in banks. Half of U.S. citizens worry. That, folks, is a big number. When we look back a few years, hardly anyone had any concerns. They thought everything was fixed after 2008. Most people just logically think, okay, we went through this financial crisis in 2008. They must have gotten it fixed, that they learned. People think they learned from their mistakes. Well, I don't think they were mistakes. There's a lot of people making a lot of money from this type of the way the banks operate. But yeah, people thought that things were, quote, fixed or changed or different. It's actually gotten worse. Now banks can loan out even more money without having it in reserves. They've really loosened things up. They pretend like they're putting more restrictions on the banks, but it's really a lot less restrictions when you look at it. All right, now let's go back to these smaller and regional banks, the stocks selling off. Why is that a double whammy? Well, now these companies won't be able to raise cash as easily by selling off stock if their stock is plunged in value. And we know that these banks likely are going to need to raise cash. So folks, we're going to see a lot more bank failures. This ball game is just getting started, maybe the second or the third inning. We've got a long ways to go. And I think we're going to see things this year in 2023 that are going to make your head spin. And you're going to be like, wow, I never thought this could happen. But anything's on the table right now. Next, let's get into what's happening with auto loans. Recent article here, AZ family. Millions of Americans now underwater on automobile loans. Of course, we all knew this was coming. People went out and bought vehicles at crazy, insane, overinflated prices. I think prices are still overinflated even as of today. Here's some of the numbers here. Early signs of negative equity surge. Data coming out of Edmunds. The average negative equity value for auto trade-ins was $5,340, and that's up 29% from the previous year. Also, the number of vehicles traded in with negative equity jumped 17%. So people are taking negative equity vehicles, trading them in for something newer, rolling the negative equity into a new loan at these high interest rates. This is going to be even a bigger disaster down the road. So not only is it going to get worse, it's going to get a lot worse considering the negative equity trading that these people are doing. With the high interest rates, I'm not sure how much longer people can trade in negative equity vehicles for new vehicles based on what incomes are. I mean, there's going to be a breaking point, and actually I think the breaking point's already been passed, and that's why we're seeing these repossessions jump up pretty drastically. All right, folks, so we're going to wrap this one up here. What do you think about the regional bank stocks selling off? We're just getting started in this crisis. That's my opinion. We've been right so far. Please let me know what you think down in comments, and hopefully you'll see you back here on this channel very soon. Keep stacking.